Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl, is what the MC said. I actually spend really a lot of time talking to taxi drivers and sometimes angry passengers. So today is really a good break. You guys look much better than the average driver out there. So before I begin, can I get a show of hands of how many of you have heard of GrabTaxi or My Taxi as we're known in Malaysia? Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So for the benefit of people who don't know who we are, GrabTaxi started out as My Taxi in Malaysia. And what we are is we're a smartphone application, and you can book taxis using this smartphone application. That means you don't have to go to the side of the street anymore, under the hot sun, or you don't have to call a call center and wait to 5 to 10 minutes for them to tell you, I'm sorry, we don't have a taxi. So what our app does is we promise you fast, metered taxi rides across all major Southeast Asian cities. So I've been with the company for about a year now, and when I signed my employment contract, we had 16 employees. Today we have close to 500. Today we're in 6 countries. We started in Malaysia 2 years ago. Today we're in 6 countries, 17 cities. We're launching another city next week. We do 1 booking every 1 second. So someone tries to book a taxi every second through our platform. We're in over 1.7 million mobile phones, which is not too bad for an application. We're not like a game or a social network. And we're used by 300,000 people, at least, if not many, many times more for everyday commute. Now, today I'm actually here to just share with you a bit about our company. And I think if you understand the taxi space, you'll actually know that there are many, many competitors. We are probably the Asean champion, but also today, the way that we operate and what we do is being challenged by a lot of other global players. Brands like Uber, brands like Easy Taxi today exist in the same ecosystem. And I guess it's about competing and competing really hard. So I always get this question, how are we different? Why are we still Southeast Asia's #1? Because we are still the leader in this game. And it's all very fundamental things, but I think if you put it into practice, it really makes a difference. So for us, there are 3 things that really we think set us apart from our competition. One is that we set out to solve a real problem. And this might sound very motherhood statement and very airy-fairy and things like that, but if you really don't solve a real problem, and if you don't have a hyper-local solution for your problem, you have no real sustainable advantage, at least for us, because we don't have the biggest bank account. So we started in Malaysia, and I think if anyone here has taken a Malaysian taxi, you will know that the experience isn't great, Typically, they will tell you that the destination that you want to go is not where they want to go. So, I'm sorry, you want to go there, it's too far, not my way. Or they'll say, okay, I'll take you, but the meter is spoiled, and they'll charge you something equivalent to daylight robbery. And in the worst case, you actually might get robbed. This is the reality of the Malaysian taxi landscape. And what we have in Malaysia, actually, as we expanded the business, we realized that isn't unique to Malaysia. If you take taxis in Manila, if you take taxis in Bangkok, you would encounter very similar difficulties, maybe not all of them, but some of them. If you take taxis in Singapore, you'll actually find that while it's safe and efficient, during the times when you need a cab the most, like peak hour, it's a lot harder to get a cab, right? So we found that there's a lot of similarities across the region in terms of taxi service, and we knew that there existed an opportunity for improvement. So about the problem, I think I mentioned just now that it's about solving a real problem. So how do we really do this? How do we really actually execute on that? So let me give you an example. In Southeast Asia, one of the biggest concerns for women taking taxis is actually traveling at night. You're afraid of what will happen, and in Malaysia especially, there's been a lot of news reports about how this isn't really safe. And we really wanted to tackle this problem because if you look at the GrabTaxi team, most of the senior management are actually women. So to tackle this problem, we look at it not just as a technology problem, we do offline screening. So to be really, to provide a much safer platform, it's not just for us, it's not just about the technology. We actually do offline screening before a driver joins our platform. We actually make sure that the car matches the car plate that is registered. We actually take his photo, we take a copy of his IC, and we tell him up front that we will be tracking you, so they actually are more cautious. Besides that, if you book a taxi through our app, you actually know who is your driver, right? Because we have his photo, handphone number, so it's a lot safer. And we're actually the first in the world to implement this. It's called Track Your Ride. So you can send your journey in a taxi through social media or in private through SMS or email to your friend, and they can actually track your journey live. And we are the first in the world to have this because I think safety was really a big issue in the part of the world that we operate in. So across Southeast Asia, we've sort of like found out there are three brand promises which we've built our product around. First is safety. So let your loved ones track you. Certainty. Haggling and being overcharged is a really common problem. So we show you the estimated fare before you get into the cab. So you actually know what is the fare, and our drivers are told that we throw them out of the system, which we do if they don't charge you the metered rate. And besides that, the other thing is speed and convenience. So within a minute, you will know whether you get a taxi. We don't always guarantee you a taxi, but we won't waste your time to get you to hold on to the phone and say, I'm sorry, after 10 minutes, we don't have a taxi. And so that's the Malaysian problem, but across Southeast Asia, when it comes to solving the problem, we do it differently in every country. So for example, in Thailand, where the addresses are in Thai and also in English. Our operations in Thailand is very different from a lot of other countries because we have a call center that helps call drivers and tell them what the address is. So we translate English address into Thai for drivers. And so this is what I mean by really solving a problem. You need to understand local context and then being really relevant when you're trying to solve that. So I think having a really good app is great, but I think what makes us really proud is what our users say about using us, right? So when we did a random survey, 99% says it's better than hailing from the side of the road. 97 women say that they're more likely to use a taxi because of something like us. So the second pillar of our growth is one that a lot of people ask me, what makes you different from your competitor? I always say that we have a very strong social angle. And again, this sounds really nice and fluffy, but it's something that we truly believe in. The founder actually started working out in the AIDS Foundation in Malaysia, and what he found out was that while it's good, it's really hard because it's not sustainable. You need to keep getting donations, right? And so the difference about us is that we're a self-sustaining social enterprise in the sense that we don't need donations, we actually have a business. But at the same time, we want to make a positive impact in the communities that we operate in. So what is this double bottom line? It is basically a business where your financial profits is as important as your social impact. And for us, that's really important. So what is our social mission? We have two distinct customers. Okay, so we have drivers, and for drivers, they are on our platform, they generally see anywhere between 30 to 300 increase in income. Why is the disparity so big? It's because it depends how hardworking the driver is. If they go for every job, they'll see a huge increase in the amount of income that they have. If they don't, then, well, they don't, right? And I think a lot of drivers see a huge increase in income because more people are now comfortable using taxis. We've expanded the taxi using base in a lot of countries. On top of that, I think we help improve the life of drivers because they spend less time driving around looking for people and less petrol wastage. I used to talk, in Malaysia, actually, what's very common for drivers is they have kidney stones. And the reason why is because they're waiting for that job to come in through the radio that they don't want to leave their taxis. But because our system is on a smartphone, they can take the smartphone to the toilet with them. They can look at a job at home, And the last way that we improve the living standards for drivers is we're a gateway to the internet. because today their rice bowl is shaped like a phone, they're actually willing to buy a smartphone. They're actually willing to pay for internet data. So we are the smartphone, we are the gateway to the internet for them, and we install things like Waze so they can help navigate to your place. We install all kinds of things. They also then will discover on their own things like WhatsApp, Skype for their children, and porn. That seems to be common. So for passengers, it's about safer rides for women. We promote the culture of don't drink and drive. I'm a big advocate of this because I actually used to drink and drive a lot, so now I have to take taxis because I represent the brand. And also it's about paying the regulated rate. So today, I think what I want to emphasize to you guys, I think we've grown really fast. And I want to say that for us, we truly believe this at our core. Social good makes absolute business sense for us. And the reason is really simple. When we started out especially, because we had a strong social mission, we could get really top talent. We have people from Harvard, we have people from Accenture, we have people from McKinsey, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, all working in a startup that pays less than market value wage. I mean, now it's a lot better. We also have partnerships with a lot of bigger brands, especially when we started out. Brands like Maxis, brands like AirAsia, brands like M1 actually work with us because we have a strong social mission, because we are a brand that people kind of like. We have lots and lots of media love. We're in the news every other day. And we have lots of fans and advocates. And all of that goodness translates to financial profits. So this is some of the campaigns that we've done, that's been fun. So this is a campaign that we did not too long ago where we asked people to donate toys and books that they don't want. So our thought is that people are generally good, right? And they would want to donate if possible, if we make it convenient. So all people had to do was just book a taxi. The taxi will come to your house, pick up this stuff, and then we'll donate it to rural schools. And we targeted 2,000 toys. We had 8,000, and it was carried on a lot of TV stations and radio stations. We had 100 spots on BFM, everything for free. We also are big champions of, like I said, don't drink and drive. So this is a campaign that we put in the clubs. That's me, if there was any doubt. It basically says, if I start to look sexy, book a taxi. Probably had too much to drink, time to book a GrabTaxi to go home or my taxi. And lastly, I guess for us, I want to say, I think in the world that we are today, how do we understand it enough so that we can leave it an even better place than what we found? So that's kind of like my parting words for you guys. And I hope that that was good. Okay, thanks. Any questions? Okay, I'll answer. The question was, is the company open for investment? We are always looking for good partners. We officially have announced one of our investors are Temasek. We also have investment from GGV Capital. But yeah, I'm sitting there, and we're always open for great partners that can add value to our business. You welcome R&D? Sorry? I can't talk about it.
I have a question on how you make your money. Is it from the collection, from a share of the collection from the taxi drivers?
Yeah, so we operate on a prepaid model. So for the driver, in order for them to get a job, for every successful job, we actually take a small flat fee. So when they win, we win, some sort of like that. Whereas for a lot of taxi companies like radio taxis, it's actually a monthly fee. So for us, it's based on usage, based on successful rides. So that's why drivers actually like us, because that's our model. We only charge them when they actually get a ride, a booking.
Question? Do you all face a lot of resistance from the cab companies because you are eating into the profits, into the call center profits?
Yes, in some countries, it's a bit more challenging to work with the incumbent. They are big, usually, and billion-dollar companies. But I think for us, we have been able to penetrate 17 cities because we have different ways of operating. We can go with a fleet, we can go without a fleet, we can microfinance to independent drivers. So yes, we do have a lot of challenges with taxi companies, but I think what we try to stay away from is having trouble with regulation. So because taxis are regulated and we work within that framework, we're able to operate quite easily, legally in all countries that we're in.
Question on your competition. What do you make of the recent rumors that Malaysian transport regulatory authorities could ban Uber?
Okay.
Is that fair?
I think that what the government is saying is not that Uber is illegal, it's that the vehicles that they're using are unlicensed, meaning they haven't been inspected, and the drivers that they're using are also not licensed. And I think that is fair. I don't think preventing competition is fair. And I think that, I mean, I don't think the business is wrong in any way. I actually think they just need to regulate. What the government is trying to regulate is just the cars, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that there's insurance. I personally think that the reason why there's a lot of people talking about Uber is because the service is exceptional. And I think for us, the way that we look at it as a company is that we are also considered as disruptors ourselves, right? And while we don't own the taxi companies, and we don't own the taxis or the drivers, we do encourage them to have a certain amount of service level, a certain amount of standard, don't overcharge the customers. So we actually took this opportunity to do a lot of retraining for drivers because they actually feel threatened. And it's probably the only time that they want to listen to us. So we take it on board. I think competition is good. It keeps us sharp. And we have taken this as an opportunity instead of whatever else people are talking about. Any other questions? Otherwise, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Cheryl, for the great presentation. And we wish you well for the future.